everyone, TARDIS Guy 123 here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the second ever Doctor Who story, The Daleks. So this is a classic story for a multitude of reasons. It's the first to feature the Daleks themselves, and it's also the second ever Doctor Who story, the first Doctor Who monsters, first Doctor Who science fiction future set story. There are loads of firsts for this one, and 7 parts long. Some people would say it's overlong. I personally think it's the right length. And there's something about it that's just very good, that when you reach the end of it, you feel satisfied, you feel like you've been somewhere. And I think with the shorter stories, you don't get that too much. You feel like stuff's happened, but it's not really changing. Whereas this is sort of like when you watch Lord of the Rings and you look back to the start and you think, God, we've come a long way. And that's the same with this. And the start is rather interesting because you've got just the 4 main cast members for the first full episode. There's nothing else there really, except a Dalek right at the end. But you just have these 4 regulars playing off each other, and that works surprisingly well. And it gives this great element of mystery. And you've got the city in the background. The music is perfect, and it really does set the scene very well. And then the Daleks themselves are a very simple design, but they work very well. They're very effective. It doesn't go too complex there, it just looks silly. It works for a 60s budget. And it's the same design that we see nowadays. Small edits here and there, but it's still the same silhouette. And I think that's just a tribute to that. Now, obviously they were based off Nazi paranoia, World War II paranoia and whatnot, because that was the thing that Terry Nation grew up with, and you can kind of see shades of that coming through here. The part where they go, "We will be the masters of this planet, the masters of Skaro and whatnot," and they kind of salute in that Hitler sense way when they put their suckers up and whatnot. It's very interesting, that kind of general idea. I'm not sure how much of that was in the script, how much of that was direction, but it worked because it reflected the world of the time, where they were still quite scarred by the Second World War. They were getting over it by that point. It had been almost 20 years now, but still kind of the scars still linger on, and that's shown here. And I think it probably more affects the older generation watching it than the younger one, but nevertheless it still works. And then the jungle set works very well too, and you kind of got it's very not necessarily thick jungle, but it's still, you can kind of believe that it is a jungle, a petrified jungle, kind of forest or whatever. And that works when you've got your 4 regulars walking through it and everything. And then the Thals come in a bit later on, and that kind of adds to spice up a bit. The Thals themselves aren't the most interesting of people. You kind of got that morality thing going on with them, but it works still. It works quite well for them. And the story itself is almost split into 2 halves. You've got the first 4 episodes where the Doctor, Ian, Susan and Barbara are in the city and whatnot, and the Daleks very much in the shadows. And then you've got the last 3 episodes where they're trying to get into the city from behind and whatnot. And it's interesting how that focuses more on Barbara and Ian. It's not really focusing on the Doctor and Susan at that point. Actually, kind of people look back on the classic series and say, well, the companions weren't given a good role, it was all the Doctor and everything, but nowadays they're much better. And you could kind of make that argument for the middle part of it, I guess, in some ways. I personally wouldn't, but I guess it's more relevant there than anywhere else. But here, it's very much an ensemble piece. And I've said this before in a couple of my other reviews, but it's very much an ensemble piece, and this is shown here by the Doctor and not the Doctor and Barbara, Ian and Barbara being the ones doing that and whatnot. And this is very early for the Doctor and his character growth as well. And you get some elements where he just wants to leave at the end of episode 4. It could almost have been a 4-part story just there. Then suddenly you realise that it's the fluid link still in the city, and that's a very good cliffhanger. I think it's not a simple, oh, the companions are in danger or whatever. It's a very big realization of what's going on, and it shows you where the story's going to be going for the next few episodes. So I like that. But back to what I was saying before about the Doctor being pushed off to the side of that bit. Yeah, it's very much about Ian and Barbara getting through the perils of behind the city with the swamp and whatnot, and that works very well in my opinion. The cave sequences are done rather well, quite dark, quite gloomy, as yet it's effective. It's what a cave would be like. So that works very well, I feel. And overall, then we have the ending, which is rather unfortunate. That's the one bit that doesn't live up to the rest of the story, I'm afraid. Where, you know, you kind of like got, it just kind of like stops really halfway through the last episode, and then the Daleks are defeated. It's almost too simple. It doesn't feel like there's enough stuff going on. It doesn't feel like there's the Dalek invasion where they actually use their intelligence and whatnot to defeat the Dalek. It's just suddenly they break in, and then that's it. Suddenly the Daleks are dead, and it's a bit of an anticlimax, I'm afraid, but you know, it works. And then the Daleks' last bit where he says, where he kind of pleads the Doctor to help them, that was very nice. That was very well done. And it kind of like shows the morality of the Doctor at that point a bit. You know, he's not kind of like helping the enemies in this stage. You know, he's very much, he's got his morality in check that he wants to help people, but he's not like some of his later incarnations where he would help save the enemies at all costs, if that makes sense. Because you kind of have those things where the Doctor offers them a chance, and that's not the case here really at that point. So that's an interesting point of view. And then, you know, you got the whole argument in the forest, which takes up about half an episode's length, and that was very interesting, between where you got Ian and Susan against the Doctor and Barbara, and it's an interesting dynamic there where they're kind of like pushing for them to use the Thals, but you know, you can't, and the audience kind of sides with Ian and Susan at that point, not the Doctor and Barbara, but you can still see the Doctor and Barbara's point of view in a way, so that's very nice. The music for this is very, very atmospheric, works very well. You kind of like get this echoey sense about it, this very metallic sense. It's like nothing I've ever heard before. You know, this story is a classic for me. I watched it when I was very young, when I got the Beginnings box set, and you know, I fell in love with this story. It was great. It was very scary in a sense. The music was very scary, and it all just feels very nice. And personally, I prefer the first half to the second, just because there's that sense of like just the four heroes on their own about it, and it's very interesting, very well done. And then you got the whole escape sequence. It's very well done, I feel, very well directed and very well acted. So overall, it all comes together very nicely. This story does for me, and I think that's all I practically got to say for it, to be honest. So I think we'll end up here, and I'll rate it a 9 out of 10. You know, Planet of the Daleks is a very similar story to this, except more action-adventure, but personally, I prefer the original version of this. It's very nicely done, so yeah, I'm setting on a 9 out of 10 for the first Dalek story. So, thanks again for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next time with a review of Attack of the Cybermen, hopefully, and then we'll move on to some other classic reviews. The whole schedule's up on my channel if you look in the About section, and yeah, thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.